No cap, no cap, no cap, no cap. No cap, no cap, no cap.
Yeah, no cap on that. Welcome back to the next episode of the Flex Abilities. We out here with the people that are killing the scene with the agilities, versatilities, man, with all the abilities. I got my very next guest. I'm very honored to talk to him. He's been one of the earliest hustlers that I've known for over 20 years here, and I'm talking about just a true innovator in the game, making a change for the community, flexing on them. My man, Rob. Rob, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about yourself, where you from, and what you be up to.
Yes, sir, man. First thing, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Love what you got going. And thanks for having me, man. But yeah, my name's
Thank
Ivan. I go by Raw, aka Poncho Z on social media. But yeah, that's me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Rod's been out here just doing the most. He was given so many opportunities to so many people out here, from the music game to the clothing game to now the athletics. In one way or another, he's just always trying to put his hand into something. My man, one of the first things I remember you is really having one of the first clothing brands, like way before everybody had the clothing brand. You was rocking with the Ziawear. How did that evolve? Is that still rocking? You still got that popping? Or how did you even start up Ziawear? That was like ahead of its time.
Yeah, man. So Ziawear. I started with Ziawear. It was born in my shop, Raw Muzik, about 15 years ago or so, and it came from just me. When I had a store, I was selling local companies, brands, local brands. I was selling Albuquerque Dukes, one of the first stores to sell it.
Yeah.
And eventually, I was like, you know what? I need to make my own so I could have all the creative choices. There was things I wanted to implement in it, and I didn't have control. So eventually, me being a little bit of a graphic designer too, and always involved in the local art scene, I just kind of collabed with some local artists and did some stuff myself, and just came up with the brand to represent the culture the way I felt it should be for New Mexico. Because a lot of the brands were like, they were chill, but a lot of them were more like touristy, and I was kind of going more for the locals, so.
Absolutely, man. I love it. I thought it was very innovative, and I really like and respect that you're like, I wanted to have that creative control so I could put my vision out there. I knew some people were going for it, but just couldn't see it the way that I see it. So I really appreciate that. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but you said the shop. Tell us just a little bit about how you came up with the idea, the concept for Raw Muzik, and that was just way ahead of its time too, my man. And again, bless you for putting so many people on in the community through there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So, just from my early, when I was a teenager, I was been a big hip hop head and whatnot. And I was just always trying to figure out a way how I could get involved in the hip hop community. I wasn't really a rapper or a producer or whatnot. So I was just trying to find my way. But I moved to San Diego when I was like 16 years old, my junior year in high school. And when I went out there, I met some hustlers out there, some really well-known people in the local hip hop scene or whatnot.
Nice.
I just kind of connected with them, and I started selling at the swap meets in San Diego. And
nice.
I kind of just built it up there, and I had a good thing going. Eventually, I quit my job there, and I was just kind of out the trunk with it. And every weekend I was at Spring Valley swap meet.
Yeah.
Eventually, I came home, and I kind of brought what I was told out there, or what I was taught out there, and just brought it to my hometown, Albuquerque, and it was a beautiful thing. I started out the trunk there as well, and I did the state fairgrounds for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Eventually, I had enough money to drive to San Diego and load up the whip. Came back with mad merch, and got lucky with the shop and the location, and I had one of the best spots in on Central. As far as the storefront. The original Raw Muzik.
Absolutely. I remember the old one on west of Rio Grande, or right there.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. I didn't know about the whole hustle from trunk to trunk, but that's something these youngins will never understand, that we used to really be able to go out there with the hand-to-hand combat and pop your music off, talk to people, interact with people, and then you would make connections, rubbing elbows, and next thing you know, you might be out there doing a song with such and such. So, it was such a vibe back then, and it was positive back then as well. Everybody had their beefs, but it was still we all were on the movement. So, man, that is is just absolutely amazing. What were some of your other early mentors? Can you speak on who some of those people were that really gave you your advice or give you that confidence to go out there and just go get it for yourself? Just be raw.
Yeah. I'd have to say my boy Nemo in San Diego was probably my early mentor. He was the one that he was running this company called Sickness.net, and they
Okay.
were like a distribution company. Big shout out to him because he definitely kind of paved the way for me and kind of showed me how to do it. But
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
like when I left San Diego to Albuquerque, he actually ended up taking over like the booths I was doing.
Oh,
Because
nice.
I had kind of built something good there, and he's like, "Man, wait, you're not going to be here no more. I'm gonna take that over too." So that was kind of cool to kind of pass that on, and they kept it rolling too. But early on, as far as the music goes, it would probably be him early on, and other than that, I just have just some local mentors, and that were hustlers, but probably not in the right way, but they were hustlers. But those are me being from the South Valley and from the streets. Those are kind of people I looked up to, but I was just trying to figure out a right way to do it, right?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Hey, I mean, just because they might have been doing things non-traditionally doesn't mean they couldn't have a positive effect on people's life as well. So,
That's for sure.
yeah, I feel you on that. Did you how do you convince yourself, to make that leap, to go for, all right, I'm gonna pop the trunk, we're gonna load it up, and we just gonna make this next move? What do you mentally see it and then go after it? Do you just go after it on a whim? How do you really, make those dominoes fall? What's your game plan with that, or what's the secret to your sauce in that regard?
Yeah. No, definitely has to have that vision first and the belief. But honestly, if I wasn't able to be successful in the streets and like the selling at the swap meets and the flea markets, I definitely wouldn't be something I would have went all in. But I was doing pretty well there, and I was like, man, if I could make this much on a Saturday and Sunday at a swap meet, imagine if I had a storefront from Monday through Sunday,
Right.
and just making connections. I think networking's been always my strong point for sure.
Absolutely.
That's been my thing, man. So I just made some good connects and utilize them and try to just bring the city together. Really.
Absolutely. I think I can think of so many times you did do that. Did you ever think that people misunderstood or underestimated your drive, your hustle, your vision on that? And how did you deal with that when people came and were they ever trying to be like, "Raw, this is really the move. This is what you should be doing, dog." What's your advice on those?
I really didn't have too much people telling me it wasn't the way to do it. I will say that actually there was some copycats, right? Like there was some stores that popped up similar, and it was nothing. I didn't take it anyways. So I was just like, dope, like let's go. But yeah, there was just several stores that popped up similar to mine, and it is what it is. Like I was just the first one, and it could have been anybody else, but I didn't. So I don't think I had anybody really like hating on me like that, but at least that I know of. But I know I inspired, and to me that means a lot. There was some spots that popped up, and they were real similar, but they didn't make it they didn't last too long, and it's probably because they just didn't put in the work. Like I feel like I put in the work before I had the store. It wasn't just about who had the most money, because obviously I didn't have the most money, but I had the hustle and the drive. So that's what did it.
And it was such just a vibe in your shop, man. Like you never knew who might pop up. You would have a major artist pop up. They might just want to say hi. You had a lab in the back. I loved your spot when it was on 12th and Central too, because I just thought that was iconic in that location as well, man. So
absolutely.
I know that you also been popping up with these tournaments the last couple of years as you now giving back to the community and more of an athletic flex. How'd you start getting that idea? Who put you onto that?
Man, so that comes from me just always being a diehard sports fan, right? Like I'm a big sports fanatic. And my son's a hooper too. So my son was hooping in all these basketball tournaments, and I was going to different tournaments around the region. Right. And I just saw that we were missing that in Albuquerque. Like some of the things, I'd go to Phoenix or go to Vegas or LA or wherever we were going for these tournaments. I'm like, damn, I wish they would do the tournaments this way,
Right.
you know. And so just adding a little more spotlight to the athletes, you know.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're trying to implement with it. It's called New Mexico Ball Out. That's our brand.
Yeah.
We've thrown about 10 tournaments so far, maybe a little less, 8 or 9,
love it.
I think, right around there. But we've been doing 2 to 3 a year now, and they've been really successful, and we're going to continue doing so. And
Yeah.
we're putting the athletes first, you know, and at the end of the day, majority of the funds, it's not just a money grab. Like I said, my son hoops too, and he's in the community.
Right.
It helps
Right.
fund his teams, and it helps fund his journey as well.
Right.
So it's a win-win, right?
I love it. I love it, my man. My son participates in your tournaments way before I even knew they were your tournaments. I just thought it was always
Nice.
a good vibe. Always really appreciate what you was doing, not even knowing that it was you behind the scenes. But that's just how you move and do things, man. You just always trying to get back. I really like too how you said you made kind of the same type of decision like you did with the Ziawear. You noticed, hey, there's some things in the game that are missing. And I know if I could just maybe put my vision on it, this might be a little bit more effective for everybody involved. So once again, you got to continue to apply that cookie cutter things to some of your next endeavors, my man, because I'm sure they're going to be popping off in bigger and better things.
No doubt.
Can you talk about how you've been also working with some fighters? I know I seen you working with Brian Mendoza, Team Means. What was your approach to helping grow these athletes, and how'd you kind of get involved in that?
Yeah. So just me being like a diehard sports fanatic, you know, especially for the local New Mexico fighters or any athletes in that matter, I just always have my eye on them, and just figuring out a way to help me promote them, and they can help me promote my brand. So, like, I mean, for Brian Mendoza or someone like him, he's a fighter that I used to watch as an amateur.
Yeah.
You know, I used to go to amateur smokers and events like that, and you know, I just saw he was special, and you know, eventually we connected. He was part of the same group as Fidel Maldonado, another well-known fighter as well.
Nice.
And you know, I would just hook him up with some shirts and promo or whatever I could do.
Yeah.
You know, and we kind of just worked for each other on that matter. You know, like it was never no money involved or anything. I'd just hook them up with some gear, and
Love,
you know, and they would just promote as well. So it's all love, and you know, I seen it in him early. He was a beast. You know, and just like Ray Borg for the UFC.
Yeah.
You know, I used to go to his early fights. He was like 3-0, 4-0, and I knew he was special. And eventually, he got signed to the UFC, and he fought for a world title.
Yeah.
You know, that was love, you know. So shout out to Ray Borg, Tim Means, and you know, all the fighters that's ever helped me out, you know. So
Absolutely.
just always looking for the next one too, right? So
Absolutely.
any young bucks I see on the rise, I want to help them out, and you know, it works for both ways, man.
Yeah. And when are we going to start seeing the Raw boxing events?
Man, that would be crazy, right? Like that's like a super dream, but yeah, you never know, man. The money you got to put up for the boxing fights are pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So if I could get together a team or something, that'd be a dream come true for sure. But I feel like that is so. Going back to those things that what I feel like our city needs and whatnot, we need more promotional events. You know, like there's a major need for that. We got all the fighters.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a matter of putting together the chips in place. But yeah, absolutely, that would be a dream come true. And you never know. You know, that's something that I would love to do, and if I have an opportunity to, I will jump on that.
I could see it. I could see it, my man. Raw fights. You know, raw fights coming soon.
That'd be dope.
I see it. Just continue putting that cookie cutter, talent and your vision on it. I know that you used to work with artists, and now you're working with athletes. What's the difference between working with artists or athletes, or do they have a lot of parallels and a lot of the same lanes?
Like the industries are different, of course, but I mean the athletes definitely a little more driven for sure. You know, I feel like they're more structured, right? I mean, the structure's there. You got the rap heads and the artists, and they're very talented in their own right. But you know, they sometimes they're not all in. You know, like they be partying and whatnot, and you're trying to get them to do a show, or you know, you got to do the album or whatnot. So I would say that was the difference. You know, just the structure. You know, the athletes seemed a little more disciplined.
Yeah.
But the artists, I mean, that's hip hop, right? That's part of the culture too, the partying and whatnot. So to me, that was the only difference that I noticed. but they're both hardworking, talented individuals for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you're dedicated to your craft, you know you got to go ahead and put the time in. If not, you know you're not going to really have the results there. How do you kind of select who you're going to work with? Do you notice you said a couple times I see something special? I mean, do you just really admire their hustle, their talent, their mentality, their grit, their comeback? What do you look for that you like? Oh, he got it.
Yeah, good question. I just try to catch them early on. You know, like I just try to keep my eyes, you know, out there and my ears to the street and see who I feel that's like, you know, that has potential to make some noise.
Right.
And also, it comes down to the person too, right? Like if they're a piece of shit, I don't want to really be a part of that, right? Like,
Absolutely.
that's
right.
bad for the brand too. But if they're solid people and you know, I mean, not necessarily a piece of shit, but just maybe not a people person, you know, I should say.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it comes down to character for sure, and make sure we can vibe because other than that, it's not going to work out for both of us.
Yeah, you know, absolutely, absolutely. I think the same can be said too. Is you know when you used to have people rocking your gear, you might like you want to make sure people were wearing that advertisement to the right spots. You didn't want to see somebody get marked, and then there's a victim or the assailant in a Ziawear shirt. You're like, no. You know what I mean? So
there's no such thing as bad promotion, and I've honestly been on the bad side of that too. Like there's been times where like I'm watching a news video or something, and there's a guy wearing my hoodie, and he's getting like,
my gosh,
he's getting like arrested or something, and I'm like, I've seen that, you know, but you can't control who purchases your product.
Right.
I learned that too. You mean if they're a customer, they're a customer, and you never know how they even got it. You know, could have got it for Christmas or, you know, so there's no control in that, honestly. But as far as who I want marketing my brand, like on a promotional standpoint, I'm going to be a little more selective for sure.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I know you're a busy man. We got a couple more questions and then I'm going to let you jam. But speaking of how busy you are, you always got your plate full, but how does Ross stay grounded? What do you do to take a little time for yourself and make sure that you are in the right condition for the next day to tackle those things?
Yeah, no doubt, man. You know, I'm a family man first, and, you know, I think my family and my kids kind of keep me right. But I'm always just supportive of the local community, especially in New Mexico, my hometown. I actually don't live there right now. I've lived in Arizona the last year and a half. So this is something new to me, right? Like, so I'm out here, but I still represent, you know, somebody's gotta tell everybody about New Mexico. And right now that's me out here in AZ. But I would say my family keeps me grounded, and, you know, I have a lot of experience in dabbling in these industries, and I know the highs get high and the lows get low. So just try to stay in that middle, bro.
No, I feel you on that. I definitely feel you on that. I'm going to give you a little bit of a, just kind of the sky's the limit scenario. Bam, Rod hits the lottery tomorrow. What's that next 5-10 year vision look like for what you would do? You just got you a check for 980.
Hey, man, let's get that boxing rolling, right?
Right.
We're just talking about that. I don't have the funds to put together the boxing matches that I would really like to put together the right way, right? So that would be something for sure I would do.
What franchise you buying?
I'm not too sure on the franchise. I got to do a little research on that. But I would just kind of take my brands a little higher. You know, I know there's a lot of things I would like to do. You know,
absolutely.
Maybe opening up a store in Arizona as well, and have one in New Mexico in Albuquerque. So, I mean, that's just something I could think of off the top.
Well, man, you definitely built a respected name from the music, the fashion, the sports. You know, what else is next? You got anything else that you want us to know? You got a book coming out. You got the biography coming out. You got a new album coming out. What's the other new things you got on deck?
Man, so nothing really too crazy right now. I'm just gonna continue doing what I'm doing. That at least I could see in my future. But I would love to kind of get in with some more raw music stuff, right? I feel like that's my big background, and every time I talk to some of my artists that I used to work with, they're always like, "Hey, let's do something." So so that's something that I would like to do for sure, and I know we could put together like a compilation. Music, you know, like I already want to do, like, I have this vault idea too, because I found my hard drive and I got so many dope tracks just in the vault, bro. It's crazy.
Right.
Like
Right.
I'm like, man, this still sounds hot. So
Right.
no one's
Right.
ever heard it. So I'm like,
Right.
I know it would do good.
Absolutely.
It's so. But I also want to just give a real quick shout out to all the artists that ever helped me out. Like Raw Music. We definitely worked with all the local artists, and it wasn't something that I did myself, but all the artists, I just gave them a spot to sell their product and whatnot. So shout out to everybody, yourself. I used to sell your mixtapes.
Yeah. Respect, my man.
Much love to Boy Dirt and Gambino, Romero, and the Block Boys, and RIP to A Dub and to Worse and to other artists that we lost along the way.
Right. Absolutely.
Big shout out to my boy Boozle. I see him doing good things too.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've interviewed him yet, but you should. Next.
Yep. No, we sat down. We sat down.
Yeah. All right.
Just hasn't came out yet, so
Dope.
Yeah.
But just
definitely
it's cool to see.
respect.
It's cool to see my guys doing good things still. Like it's a beautiful thing, man. So
Absolutely. Well, my man, anytime you want to drop by and promote anything, whether it's one of your fighters, whether it's one of your events, whether it's your next tournament, please let me know, because that's how I would love to cross promote for you. You always used to do it for me, and I would just love to continue to show that love back to you. But salute, my man. I know you're a busy man. You got bigger, better things to do, and you made the 15, 20 minutes for the flex. Continue flexing on them. And once again, Raw, you always been crushing the game, so continue doing that. I really appreciate your time, my man. And swing back by anytime. You're always welcome.
Man, much love, bro. I appreciate it, man. You keep up the good work, what you're doing too, man.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're doing a good thing.
Anytime you're in Albuquerque, let's get together.
I'll be out there soon, bro. Let's think.
All right, word up. Like,
much love.